like busy bees. Like in the off season, everybody thinks that it's just like
laid back.
It just happens. Like you take time off. This is actually the most busiest part of the season.
Sure.
Where we're always getting stuff together. We're actually putting it all together, and we're trying to get it right. And especially this year, we're coming out, like, you know, it's going to be our first year. We're in closed cockpit, so I just want to make sure, like, everything that I sit and feel in here, boys going to make sure that we're all lined up, and we're right, and we're going to make it as safe as possible. That's the main goal here, so that's what we're working on right now. Do you remember when we strap in the car, how much room we have on our head?
Your head?
LJ.
It's like an inch.
It's like when you sit in, the higher you can get up to that, the more better you can see down it. Because they're already going to move the windshield down a little bit. Because I just remember, because I sat in Tony's car now, they had them strap me down. It's like it makes you have air gap between your back and everything for the belts coming up like this and coming around. Oh, it's just trying to squish you all jacked up, right? And then you still feel loose, because that's why you have to tie me down so tight. When the belt's like this, it just holds you back and holds you down tight. Tony's different than me. Tony's got a short torso and longer legs. I have a long torso with short legs. That's where me and him are different. If we stand side by side and I put my belt up like this, like his waist is up here and mine's down here with shorter legs, and my torso from here to here is way longer than his.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Because when I sit in his car, you can see all the difference, you know what I mean? That's why I sit taller. Like he has a seat in this car that has this much in it to make him high. When he drove that capsule car, he can just see the tops of the wheels. I can see this much of the wheels.
What do you want to see?
Huh?
What do you want to see?
Well, I like to see, like more. He's trying to see more. I like to see, like when I drive the car like we drive now, because the windshield's lower. Well, Aero 9's already going to move the windshield further down now because it's up high. Because I can look at the windshield, I can see like clear straight up here because the windshield's so high. So they're going to actually move it more farther down.
That's where you can see it.
So where you can see I mean, because we're not even worried about looking up here. We just want to see the vision here. So they're going to change that line so you can see the car again. Because right now when you sit in the car, I can't see none of the top body panel on the race car. All I can see is like the two front wheels. You know what I mean? So when you get out on track, you kind of use the car body and everything to tell you where the car's at. Like you're not looking at it, but it's in your peripheral. Like you're using that as like a sight gauge to drive it.
Aim sights.
Exactly, because that's what you're using. So,
We'll just put some crosshairs out there on the wing.
Yeah, what you need to do is put a big deal up there. But you can actually tell when the car's crossed up too by
like a Benz
like
logo out there.
Because you can see it go like this. You get what I mean? But you kind of knew that already anyway.
Yeah, put a sight.
Yeah, we'll put a V in the cowl, and then we'll put just one way out on the wing, so it's like this. So
Absolutely.
Orange and green. Line them up in the middle.
But what I'm gonna have is I'm gonna have Ball Spot build our seat the same way, and they'll build a new one just for that new car like that. But on the inside, the seat cushion on the main part, like where my butt sits at and my back, I'm gonna just have them put like about a extra ½ inch of that movable foam, like that other foam, put it there, and that'll actually make me sit up and just push me up a little bit farther like this, because if you push yourself up like this, you can see more of it too. This is our seat deal right here. Well, we'll have this all redone, of course, too, but see, what they have too, where I can have Bald Spot do is, we can leave the padding thick right here, like where the roll cage pad deal is, and then we can have them scalp the middle of it out to get clearance too, because you know how the helmet's round. You can have them scalped out so we can get up closer to it either to make it better. And that's what I think I'm going to have them do.
Like when I put my hand,
it's touching right here in the middle.
Take your head up, I can get my hand to move about right there.
Gotcha.
And then where it gets thick, so like right here.
So it's about we're an inch away.
Yeah.
So if we're an inch away, I can tell him to move it up. I could tell him to move it up about, like make my seat 3/4 of an inch thicker.
We were talking about how people think it's not a busy time of year, but in fact it's extremely busy.
You go behind these offices and there's 14 trucks and trailers that have to be stripped, wrapped, in some cases rebuilt, and that's just the trucks and trailers. And then all of these cars get rebuilt.
And brand new ones in this case.
And brand new ones, new paint, new fire suits, new helmets, new branding, maybe a little shuffling among a few team members here and there. And And all that's got to be done on deadline.
Right.
And some of these teams will be testing in a couple of weeks, and all of them will be testing in 6 weeks or 7 weeks. So time flies. In addition to that, we all like to take a little time for families, but not enough.
Right.
So that's what goes on around
A long
DSR.
season and a short winter.
I mean, really, the most hectic time of year for those of us in the front office who try to work with Don and all of our sponsors in getting all the stuff done is this time of year.
Right.
Once we see the trucks and trailers roll out to Pomona, there's still going to be some touch-up work to do when we get there, but most of it will be done. And then once we get to Pomona and then Phoenix and then Gainesville, then there's a rhythm of going to 24 races that falls into place. A few surprises now and then, and more of the business involves one-offs, special paint jobs, special fire suits, all those things. That's all kind of the fun part of the business.
Right.
And we've got a great staff, good people on top of things, and so those things happen. You know, there's always that unexpected phone call from a truck that's broke down somewhere, or whatever problems may happen on the road, or somebody not feeling well, but you deal with those things too.
And then there was that whole mess with trucks in California that cropped up. Was that last year? Or
yeah, and that's pretty much been resolved thanks to the Senator Mimi Walters in Laguna Beach, California. She and the legislature there accept 56-foot trailers now. So we can go in and out of California without a problem. So it's all good.
Right.
In California.
Exactly.
Got a few more states that we need to convince to change their laws as well.
And then I imagine when you were talking about doing business with different sponsors and stuff, this time of year is probably hard. It's when you need to finish all that work, but people are probably not as available and when the holiday season starts up as they might be.
The people who make decisions for their companies, for DSR, we know where our priorities are.
Right.
And it's getting business done, putting ourselves in a position to activate, to build brand relationships, to get all those things done next year. So there's business gets done here even between Christmas and New Year.
Right.
It's hard to initiate a new relationship, but we're still trying to consummate relationships and put those last pieces of the puzzle together so we can go activate and then try to create normalcy from all the chaos that it takes to put programs together.
And speaking of new relationships, are there any that got coming online that we don't know about?
Nothing that I don't know about. You know as much. I mean, go to the internet.
Right.
And depending on what internet you read about all the speculation, and occasionally there's an announcement on a DSR letterhead.
Right.
Until that happens, there's speculation. But we'll end up with a good, strong group of teams. We'll end up racing each other and all the other teams out there for championships next year. And we're just as excited as anybody to see how the final details shake out.
We're headed up to the fab shop to see our head fab guy who runs the fab shop is Norm, and really sharp dude, very sharp.
And a brand new car, right?
Brand new car, very instrumental, and we're doing some cool things, some new things that's top secret. So I will put the hash on a couple things that you can't see. And what we actually do is, if I use that bar when I sit in the car, because I got a torso, and what Tony's got and everything else, and it's built off of him.
So what do? Go over this?
This bar.
And that's not too high?
No, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect, but the issue is that all the stuff that bolts on here, it makes this really tight right here for the seat belt.
It's like the belts are
Right, yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
We can clearance the head shield, maybe, which is going to leave an air gap or fire gap.
Yeah, we probably don't want to.
I don't think we can move it back though.
What's that?
I don't think we can fudge it back unless we slot the holes in your shield.
Yeah.
Now, we can possibly try putting a spacer, so to speak, like a washer kind of.
Like right there, just to
right
get that
there,
gap.
and see if we can. I don't know that it would be easy, but maybe we could use a.
I mean, because right now, we get the seat belts up there.
Antron has been. I watched him make his first run on a motorcycle, and he was a rocket. Never knew I didn't know the name. I knew a little bit about his cousin Troy, and that was when I ran IRP in '96 or '7, whenever he started. And so I watched his career and watched him succeed and watched him compete. And he's an exceptional competitor, a great athlete. But the more I got to know him in '03, when he and Angel came to DSR, I realized the man behind the leathers and under the helmet, and the family man, the Christian man, the champion that Antron is, and finally is officially crowned a champion, but he's always been a champion. And I've used this story, and I'll use it again, where most of us have good days and bad days. Most of us have more good days than bad days, but we all have some bad days. And in the 9 years now since I've worked with Antron, he's never had a bad minute. He's just the kind of person that brings the best out of everybody around him, in good times and in bad times. He's just a rock solid guy, fun guy to be around. We love him. Our fans, the Matco fans, they love Antron. But if you were in Pomona, I don't think there was anybody that cheered against Antron when he was crowned the champion.
Right.
You know, yeah, there's probably some people that would have loved to see Tony pull it off, another miracle.
Right.
Or Spencer pull it off, or however the result would have gone. But nobody was unhappy to see Antron win the championship. He will be a brilliant champion for our sport. And the more people know about Antron, the better they like him.
Yeah. That was a hell of a show, the way that finished up, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. What, 8 inches or 10 inches made the difference.
Man, couldn't have been better.
And the way the script fell out, we thought Tony was going to do it again. We were there to see him come from 67 points back in '07.
Sure.
And he was 67 points back, and we didn't expect to see Antron's fuel line fail.
Right.
But that opened the door.
Right.
And I mean, I think it was only a 0.003 margin, Tony over Vandergrift in the semifinals with some engine breakage. But boy, to think that Tony would cut an 050 light and run 375 in the final and not win, and all you can do is shake Brandon's hand for getting it done, and they earned that victory, and of course that spelled championship for Antron.
Yeah. I bet you were saying about leadership qualities. That's been so important in every, especially in racing. It really shows. Like with a guy like Michael Schumacher, for instance, is well known for his team leadership skills and motivating the team as he was for his driving.
Well, no question. You know, the driver in our sport is the last individual, no different than NASCAR or Formula One. He's the last individual to execute the mission. It takes engineers, sponsors, a crew of guys to drive the truck and trailer. It takes all those people, and they all execute, put the car together. But ultimately, once they back away and the engine started, the starter motor's disconnected, it's up to the driver. So to be in that position is just an exceptional thrill to turn on a win light, and especially the 4th win light, which means you're the event champion. Your first thought goes immediately to the team that put you there. The crew chief that tuned the car, the 2 guys that buckle you in the car, everybody that did the clutch, the heads, the wheels, the tires, your family then. I mean, it's interesting how your mind focuses when that happens.
Right.
So Antron he's very quick to credit the people that give him those opportunities, including Don, including the Matco people, and obviously Brian Karate and Mark Oswald and Brad Mason and the team behind him. It's all about team, and he's the exceptional team player.
How many people employed here at DSR?
About 120.
And how many, I know there's people work on different aspects of the car and the different cars and whatnot. How many people devoted strictly to Antron's team?
Well, there's 10 people on his team, including the crew chiefs and assistant in Antron. Each one of our teams has a unit of 10.
Right.
So that's 70 people that work here, specifically assigned to one race team. Then there's the fabricators, the machinists, the front office personnel, the hospitality staff, and we're kind of spread over, different responsibilities.
Sure.
But there's 10 people focused on Antron's car, and he's the last of those 10 to get to execute his mission.
Right. Top Fuel champion. I mean, did you? Let's go way back. way back before your cousin, the football star, right, got you involved in professional racing. You were racing motocross, is that right?
Yeah, from a little kid, I started riding motorcycles when I was about 4 years old. Just at the leisure, just having fun. And then, I had an uncle of mine, my Uncle Ike, and my cousin Kenny, and my cousin Larry. They were already racing motocross, and they kind of took me away, took me over there, and that's when we got serious with it. Started racing like week in and week out, and it became a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And that's what I ended up living for, is just going out there racing motocross. So and then at the meantime, my dad and uncle, they were still busy drag racing. They were sportsman racers. They raced back in the day. They raced Super Gas and Super Comp. They actually still. Really? The basic deal of the story is that, while I was racing motocross and everything else, my dad and uncle, and then we're racing sportsman racing, like, Super Comp, Super Gas, and now they race Top Dragster and Super Comp. So, like, drag racing was out there. My family was doing drag racing before I was even born, so I was just born around it and into it. So I had no choice. And the older I got, I actually developed, respect for the sport, passion for the sport.
So, you said that it was fun. It was the only thing you wanted to do was race bikes and to race. So you were thinking of it as a professional then? Were you thinking this was really going to be something where you were going to be on TV racing in front of people, or were you thinking, oh, this is fun, I'm going to be doing it like my dad and my uncle and all that stuff?
No,
or were you thinking you were going to be like your cousin Troy and be like a professional sports superstar?
No, you never know what you're going to be when you're growing up, when you're young. It depends on where your mindset's at and what kind of passion and what's your dream.
Right.
And my deal is that I just I'm a competitor at heart. It don't make a difference what I do, from on my feet to shooting the ball to hitting the baseball, playing football, basketball, I don't care what it is that I want to win. I do not like losing, but all it does is when I lose, it just triggers another deal inside of me where I just go back and work harder.
Right.
It's my work ethic. And then, I always looked at drag racing as a very competitive sport, and I liked it because it was intense. It was all or nothing. There was no, all right, you get another chance to do it. The stakes are high.
Right.
And I liked that type of pressure. I loved it. And then when I saw my dad and uncle race and go rounds and rounds, and they would win some local bracket races, and then they win a couple divisionals and national events, I was like, wow. I'm like, this is where I can see myself at. The thing about it is you also got to think, how do you get there? How do you make this happen? And then when I got that phone call that one day in my college dorm room and on my cell phone from Troy, I was like, he gave me the opportunity to come out here and to do something that a lot of people don't get to do. First, I was working on a team, and then I was going to be a rider for the team, and that's when it all changed for me. Actually, I saw opportunity to jump on and grasp and take a hold of it, and I went for it. But I knew that it wasn't going to be no easy work. First I was with Dave Schultz as a mentor, and when I got to be with Dave Schultz and then Mark Pizer, my first crew chief, it was no easy feat to be done. I had to go to work. Dave was hard on me and riding the motorcycle, and then me and Mark developed a unique relationship where he helped me become a better rider and also key me in on the things on how a pro stock bike works. Right. And that's the biggest deal. When you understand the thing that you race, it makes you a better rider and driver, because you know what's happening with it going down the racetrack. Yeah. When you come back and you give some input.
Or sympathetic to the machine.
And you're more knowing about what's going on. That's the key to being successful. And anybody that you ever saw that's a world champ or whatever, they can tell you that, because they become one with the machine. Right. And it helps the crew chiefs and the team to be able to tune the thing, because driving is only one little small part of it.
Right.
The other 90% of it is all what these guys do on the race car, and how the crew chiefs turn those knobs. Right. And then you put the whole package together. Like each guy, we have 10 guys on our team. So all those guys are a percentage of that car.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Right,
10
right.
guys, each of them got 10%.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And some 10% makes more of a difference than others sometimes, but it's just all part of it.
Right.
And the crazy part about it is that when I looked at it, I said, man, this is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was out here, I was like, man, when I used to go to the track, when I was a little kid with my dad and them, we used to watch the Top Fuel, the funny cars.
Mm-hmm.
But that was like a far off dream. Like, man, if I had one thing in the world, what would I do? I mean, if I could drive a funny car or a Top Fuel car. You know what I mean? But I never thought that was reachable. Or that you can grasp it or go for it.
Sure. So how did that happen?
No, came close several times.
Right.
You know, but we never got that deal done in Pro Stock Bike. And won numerous races, won the All-Star race, won U.S. Nationals, the Pro Stock Bike Battle, did that stuff. And always were there at the end and always just fell short. And when I was doing that with the U.S. Army, I learned one unique deal. And what the Army is to never settle. Soldiers do not settle. But what they do is they surround yourself with unique individuals that can make unbelievable things believable. You get what I mean?
I do.
And when I learned that philosophy, it gave me a different mindset. I said, well, I'm in Pro Stock Bike. Why don't I ever try to go race a funny car or a Top Fuel car? Why don't I just go try? And I said, you never want to get a chance unless you let people know you want to do it. So I started putting my feelers out there to certain people. Like, I just didn't want to go out and drive a Top Fuel car. I wanted to be on a team that has a chance to winning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be out there to be out there, you know?
Right. So how did that happen? Is this just like in little casual conversations, hey, look at that. I'd like to try that.
I tell you how it came together. When I was here at DSR racing Pro Stock Bikes, I was on all the crew chief's ear.
Right.
Like Lee Beard was here at the time, talking to him a lot, and Lee sees different talent where he actually gives you that opportunity, and he saw my willingness to learn and my work ethic. Here in the shop, because I was helped out and worked on the Pro Stock Bike teams. I was here every day because I wanted to win. I wasn't out there to just be out there. I wanted to win world championships. That was the main goal that I've been after each and every day. And when I came in and he saw me with that work ethic, and Ace McCullough was here. He always put a good word in for me also. Caps even told Ace to let me drive his car in testing because, you know, he wanted to give me a shot just to get my feet wet. And Don gave it his blessing to do it. But what happened was the test never happened that day because it rained or something like that, so I didn't get to test the car. And then when Lee took a job over at David Powers with Mako Tools, Baseman was getting out the seat. They had David Baca driving the car, and they were looking for new drivers. So everybody and their mama were putting their name in the hat to get this deal. So I was like, well, man, I've been with Mako for so many years, and I saw Lee in the airport coming back home from a race, and I mentioned to him, I said, hey, man, remember we talked about doing that back in the day? He goes, you said, you really want to drive a fuel car, huh? I said, let me see what I could do for you, kid. So he got talking to David, and David listened to him, and David talked to me on the phone, and then they talked to Mako, and Mako gave it their blessing. But first, I got to see if I could drive the car. And they had numerous people in the wings to get the driving job, and then I went to Frank Hollis drag racing school real quick. And Tim Buckley was a real good friend of that. Was David Powers' partner. He got me tied up at Frank Hollis, took care of my schooling, so I went to the school, got my alcohol license, and then Frank gave me a really good blessing to Tim Buckley. Said, hey, man, this kid took to this car like a duck takes to water. And then once you get that kind of deal from Frank Holly, that's where it all started at. And then we went there testing the car, and then before you know it, Pomona at the end of that year after I did the Vegas test for him, I got the job. And then once I got the job, that was it. Like I was in the fuel deal. You know what I mean? So it was hit or miss. We got our license in Phoenix that next year before we went to Pomona. And I had 16 full runs in a Top Fuel car before I went to Pomona. And that's where it started for me. We went to Pomona. We qualified number 1, 4th race in that season. We won our first race. Then we won Atlanta, several races down, and we went to numerous finals. And we finished our first year in points, 5th in the points, which we should have finished 3rd, but we had a miscue in Pomona where we didn't qualify. So it pushed us back to 5th. So, but with that being said, we had a great first year. And then the next year, David Powers. And then Mike Ashley moved in, took over the race team, bought the race team from Tim Buckley, and started our race team with Brian Karate. That's where I met Brian Karate and Mark Oswald. And then we formed a relationship of a bond that can never be broke. And that's where like, you know, our whole Top Fuel career really jumped leaps and bounds. Because the team that we had, like our guys were still there with Brad as our car chief, who's our assistant crew chief now, Tony Doorhammer, who's our clutch guy, and then Red, who built our short blocks, and John, who came over to always did our cylinder heads, came over too with our deal. And then we had Cam that came in with the new regime, who did our dive, did our bottom end. And then we have Mike O'Gwen, who came in and did our cylinder head. I mean, our cylinder does our blowers and ignitions. That took over that same position from Brad. You know what I mean? And we had Jason Thomas that came in and was our clutch assistant to Hammer and did our tires and wheels and did the back end of the race car.
Right.
So when we got all these guys together, we had a really unique team, and we were together now. This is our pretty much our 4th year being together.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Tight unit.
our 4th year being together, gelling all right.
Yeah.
And we came out to be world champs.
Yeah.
I mean, we missed the championship in 09.
Yeah.
By a little bit.
Yeah.
And we ran very, very well that year.
Yeah.
One of the most rounds out of anybody that year, and it put a real bad gut check in our deal. And then we came out in 2010s, and we just had a couple accidents, like the Phoenix accident where the deal came off the tire, like the stud sheared, and different stuff like that. But we still had a great year. We went to 8 final rounds, and we won our last one in Pomona, and we still finished, I think, 4th in the points that year. And then in 2011, we came out swinging. Incredible year. We won a lot of rounds of racing. We won over 6 rounds of racing, and we fell short. We lost the championship behind Del Urshan by a little bit that year. You know, but we were battling back and forth. And then in 2012, after the 2011 season, we just kept our heads down. We came out, we worked hard, and our competition in Top Fuel rose to an all-time high. This class has never been this tough or this competitive in the history of the sport.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we had 10 different winners.
Right,
That
right,
speaks
right.
for itself.
Right.
You get what I mean? And you have different guys qualifying #1, winning races. I mean, our class this year, from the Coletta team to the Morgan Lucas racing team to Steve Torrance coming out with a single car team, doing a phenomenal job. Bob Vandergrift coming out winning races.
Right.
I mean, we had so many people coming out doing what they do. You know what I
Right.
mean? Then you can't, forget all the other guys that were in the mix too, like all the Al Nabi cars, and then our teammates. I mean, we had a phenomenal year. Finished 1, 2, 3 in the points, and
How about that? How about that final race? And you going out early, and then that last pair down the track, that matter of inches. I mean, that couldn't have been scripted better, right? I mean, that was incredible.
I mean, it was scripted right for TV. So I mean, if you wanted a story, that's the way to put it out on TV. But our team, we were just trying to do what we do. I mean, we had 2 bad mishaps in Vegas and Pomona, where if everything just goes normal like we normally plan, we go down the track. I mean, we would have locked it up in Vegas, because we would have won first round, and if we won first round, that pretty much would have did it. And if we would have won the second round after that, that pretty much would have did it, and we could have. So with that being said, you go into Pomona with that and say, okay, we just need to win first round, and we race our teammate. Well, they smoke the tires. We're going down the track like everything's fine, and then we blow a fuel line.
Right.
Not because we smoked the tires or we got overly aggressive or I drove it out the groove. We just had a freak mishap where a fuel line busted on our race car.
Right.
Just like in Vegas, where we had a brand new management box that failed.
Right.
That didn't work.
Right.
It wasn't because it was a call that we make. It's a lot easier taking losing when you know it's something that you did to the car.
Right.
But when you have a part failure, it's kind of hard to take to the heart. And then you're seeing all your hard work of all year going down the drain, and you're watching and like, man, he just got to lose one of these rounds. And like the bad part is, it's kind of bittersweet, because think about this, you don't vote for, we never root for our teammate to lose. We don't do that. Tony and myself do not do that. You get what I mean? We like to decide a race of us racing heads up.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'd rather it be where it was 20 points apart, and then me and him racing the final round for the
Right.
championship.
Right.
That's how you want it done.
Right.
And then if you win, say, hey, you go shoot the other guy's job, great job.
Right.
And but the way our class is, it was still a tough feat to do, because thinking about it, after we lost first round, Tony still had to go out and win the race.
Right.
And he went through some tough competition. Their team was on point, and
Right.
you can't take nothing away from it. They raced Brandon Bernstein, and Brandon, he hasn't won a race for so many races in a row,
Right.
where he's hungry, he's starving.
Right.
This boy is ready to go out and kill something. You know what I mean?
Right.
And he did it, and that's what he did in the final.
Right.
And it was just a great drag race between him and Tony. I mean, it could have went either way, and it was a hard-fought battle, but it just happened to end our way and go our way. And we were just very happy for ourselves as a team for what we accomplished all year, because that one race just didn't define a championship.
Right.
What defined the championship was what we did out through the whole year.
Of course, yeah.
And and then having that big enough lead to actually lose those races first round and still win a championship, that's to all that's to all the accomplishments that all of our team guys and all the hard work that they did all year long.
Right. And definitely a popular win, man. I mean, because you're like a fan favorite.
Well, it was huge, and it was really good to celebrate with all of our fans out there. All of our fans were on the starting line,
Yeah.
and all team members, and
Yeah,
and
your
I mean,
family and whatnot.
and family, and like my wife, all my kids.
Yeah, it was a great
But the
scene.
cool part is all the peers we race against were all up there too.
Yeah.
Like like cheering you on, rooting you on, like being happy because they knew what we went through to get to where we're at, and they know how
Right.
hard it is to get done.
Right.
And it's pretty cool when you see like good friends like Sean Langdon, Steve Torrance, all those guys come up and give you a hug, and they're up there standing next to you and say congratulations. And even Alan Johnson, he's a true competitor, came up and gave me a handshake and congratulated me, and that goes deep because we do the same thing. We have nothing but respect for all those teams also,
Sure.
and all the Coletta teams, and all the Vandergrift teams, and all the guys from here in our stables, our Fram team and our Army team. They're all very like grateful, handshake, and we did the same thing for Tony when he won the championship in '09. We went and shook his hand.
Sure.
You get what I mean? So I mean, because he did it.
Yeah.
And he won it, and we went and shook his hand, and it was just that's the way we do it.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have respect for one another and what they did, because to be there and then to compete for a championship is enough for that. So that's why we give accolades to all the drivers that were in the top 10.
And so you're looking for a repeat this year, right?
Well, we're gonna go out there and race hard.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna race harder than we did this year. I mean, each year we step up our game because you have to.
Right.
Because the competition does.
Right.
I mean, we wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in the shop today like you came in today.
Right.
I mean, this is like 4 days after Thanksgiving.
Right.
Like you know what I mean? And we're in the shop busting our tail.
Right.
You know what
Everybody
I mean?
is, yeah,
You
for
know what
sure.
I mean? This
For
is
sure.
5 days after Thanksgiving. We're in here and we're back to work, and
Sure.
the crew chiefs are here, and
Sure.
we're all working together trying to make things better. And making things better on everything that we do, because you have to. Because if not, if you stay still, the competition will pass you by.
So you'll be staying in Top Fuel for a while, you think?
Oh, I love where I'm at. I
Yeah.
love Top Fuel. I absolutely do love Top Fuel. I mean, I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. No funny car, no.
No, maybe in the future, but right now I love where I'm at.
You don't feel like trying that circle track over on the other side of
No,
town?
I mean, circle track, circle track will be a lot of fun to do and different stuff of that nature. Not, not. I mean,
IndyCar guys aren't calling you up saying, "Hey, we need a personality like you over here."
I love every aspect of racing, so I will
Yeah.
I never say no to anything. And but I just love where I'm at right now. I love Top Fuel. And the reason why I wouldn't want to switch to Funny Car's got a lot of competition over there, but our Top Fuel class right now it's got something special going on, and to win a race, you've done something special,
Right.
Because how tough the competition is. I mean, if you look at our last field, at 86, a 74 to an 86 was our field.
Yeah, that's
12 hundredths of a second. If you went from first to 10th,
awesome. Yeah,
it was from a 74 to a 79.
yeah,
First to 10th.
yeah.
Okay?
That's crazy.
That tells you how special this class is getting.
Sure.
So if you go out there and you compete now, and if you want to get out there, you're doing special to win a round.
Yeah.
You're doing something special to go to the semifinals. You're doing something really special if you win a race.
Yeah.
And to win a championship, that's kudos to that team. And that's how hard this class is getting.
Sure. When was the last time you took a hit on a pro stock bike?
It's been a while. I mean, I did a burnout, I think this last year on somebody's bike. There's got some tires in and stuff like that.
Whose bike was it?
No, it wasn't this year. It was the year before.
Right.
It was here at this race shop. I came in and got some tires in for Steve-O.
Okay.
But I mean, hey, it still never leaves you. It's like that's like walking. Like
Yeah.
once you've done it, you've done it. You might have to. The first couple steps might be a little wobbly.
Yeah.
But after you take those first couple steps back in, cracking the throttle, dropping the clutch,
Yeah.
be right back at it.
Yeah. We talked about Louisiana. I understand Jerry Savall just got himself a grudge bike. Did you ever think about getting yourself a little grudge bike to play around with?
I would love to, but the problem is, to be honest with you, is just the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we spend so much time here and on the road. There's no time. Only time I have when I come home, I barely have enough time to play my RC boats. Is actually doing stuff with my kids. What I'm about to do and start grudge racing is junior dragsters.
Right.
I just put an order in for the first one today.
Nice. How old are your kids?
8 and 11 is my two oldest ones that can race, and my youngest one's 4. So
Wow.
that's what we're about to start doing.
Cool. Anything else you can think of that you want to talk about?
I think you got it all, brother.
I always ask people, who they want to thank at the end of the interview. So, who do you want to thank?
Well, first off and foremost, the first person and the one that we all need to thank first and foremost is definitely our Heavenly Father, God up above. And and I say it all the time, is that I've been very blessed, not to win championships, not to win races, because it's not about winning. You know what I mean? Winning with him is having a relationship with him, and I'm just thankful and blessed to be that he's surrounded me with a group of guys that I have on this team, from Brian Karate to Mark Oswald to Brad Mason to Tony Durhammer to John Binshuf to Wayne Waite to Mike O'Gwen to Cameron Moore, and all these guys make up something special. And Jason Thomas that was on our team this year. All 10 of our guys. They're very, very special, and that's what I'm very thankful for. And I'm very thankful for being a part of DSR, Don Schumacher Racing, with Don as a team owner, very instrumental. He's got the willingness to want to win all the time, and he gives us everything that we need to win. And I want to thank all the guys in our shop, from Norman, our fab shop, to Richie and Tom and all the CNC guys like Larry and all those guys, and Jeff over there doing our honing and doing all the machine on our blocks. Joe Heath doing all the EDM on all of our clutch arms and everything. Steve and Frank that does all of our cylinder heads and all that stuff. All the guys in this shop that make it happen. All of them. Tom Pattis. I mean, I'll go on if I have to name all their names. Sure. Daniel, Joe, all the guys. I mean, we have so many guys, all of our front office staff, from Mike Lewis, all these guys. I mean, everybody that makes DSR go, and Will, Julie Mosher do our B2B, Ted Yerzik, Jeff and Leah that does all of our deal. Aaron does all of our graphic stuff. I mean, we have so many people in here. Kim in the front office. It goes on. Janie. I mean, I go on, but all the people at DSR, if I miss you, you know I love you. You know, I love all you guys, and I mean, that's what makes it happen here, man. And that's what I'm really grateful and thankful for, and all the people that got me to where I'm at in life. I mean, starting off with all my dad, my uncle for all those drag race lessons growing up, my uncle Ike for taking me motocross racing, my uncle Andre for teaching me, instilling me the how to make drag racing and how to leave the starting line, be poised and attack. And Troy Vincent for getting me to start into drag racing. And then for Dave Powers for giving me the shot to go into Top Fuel. And then also Mike Ashley for taking our team over and building the team that we're on right now. And staying positive and teaching us how to never quit, never give up. And Tim Buckley for the little bit that we have. He was a real inspiration to do our race team. And David Powers, I can never forget that guy. Class act, real classy dude, very classy. And him and his wife RJ and his whole family for what they do. I mean, I'm just very thankful for all the people that were in my life, and Mark Pizer for being my first pro side bike crew chief. Me and him been through 10 years of just scruffing it out, getting it to where we're at, and being successful in the sport. And then and Steve Tartaglia, not for doing our cylinder heads today, but for being a crew chief with him for 2 years. Incredible mindset, very meticulous, and he's really taught me how to watch every little aspect about it. And the same thing with Lee Beard, who really taught me how to look at all the small things that equal to one big thing. And all those guys, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for all those kind of people in my life. And last but not least, my lovely wife and my children at home, who allow me to do this and give me the support that I have, and also my mom. And one thing that I can be thankful for is that not just Brian and Mark for being my crew chiefs, but for being like brothers to me and helping me become a better person and a better driver. You know, especially Oswald on that really hit me straight all the time, and I can't thank him enough for that, because you know he is a funny car world champ. You know what I mean?
All right, cool. Since you won the championship, you've won a few RC boat races. Is that right?
Yeah, I went down to Louisiana and down to the World Gas Championships down there in Reserve, Louisiana at the Voodoo Club, and we had a lot of fun down there. We actually went out there and we raced 11 classes, and I placed in 8 of them. Came away with a couple firsts, about 4 second places, a third and a fourth or something like that, and a couple other classes. So we had a lot of fun down there. Them boys still beat me up pretty good down there, but it's all good. We're getting all the stuff back together, go down to another big race at the end of January, which is another part of the series in Orlando, Texas, down there at my good buddy Eric Liss's pond.
Okay.
So we're going to have a lot of fun. That sounds
like something Reggie Showers should get into, right? Because he does the planes.
Reggie does the planes. I do the boats. I mean, I used to do all the car stuff, but you know, the problem is that when I moved to Indy here, there weren't a lot of 8th scale racing out here, because 8th scales went down. That's what I was big into. So I had a pond behind my house. So I started off with a little toy boat, got in that, and then all of a sudden
Really?
we got crazy into the big boats. And which is the moral of the story is that once we went to my first RC boat race, there's just great people, good people out there, and that's what makes it a lot of fun.
Like racing.
Absolutely, and that's why I really got tied into the boats, because it's just a good people atmosphere.
Well, and everything in Louisiana is good people, right?
Oh yeah, good people, good food, good living, everything's good. Everything's good in Louisiana. This is Antron Brown, your 2012 NHRA World Champ. And let me tell you something, you heard it first and saw it first on eatmyink.com.
Excellent.
All right, brother.
Man.
All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of banging going on for that.